Assalamualaikum and good morning. Welcome to Tax Insight. Today we provide a comprehensive overview of the budget year 2025 with a particular focus on personal taxation.
The budgets introduce a range of measures expected to impact individuals and households, influencing financial planning, spending decisions, and long-term obligations.
In the coming minute, we bring you the latest development and key highlights from the Malaysian budget, outlining their potential impact on citizens nationwide. In the budget for the year of 2025, the government has strengthened tax relief measures for persons with disabilities, reflecting a continued commitment to social welfare and social equity in Malaysia. Under the revised provision, individual taxpayers who are registered as persons with disabilities are now eligible for a tax relief of RM7,000, increased from RM6,000 in the year of 2025. This enhancement is aimed at providing greater financial support in coping with rising living and healthcare costs. At the same time, taxpayers supporting a disabled spouse may now claim a relief of RM6,000 compared to RM5,000 previously. Meanwhile, the relief for unmarried disabled children has been raised to RM8,000, up from RM6,000 in the prior year. This improvement represents a clear progression from budget 2024 and underlines the government's ongoing effort to deliver more meaningful assistance to households with special needs.
Thank you, AINA. To understand how Budget 2025 supports sustainability and well-being, let's cross over to our reporter QAISARA, who will be covering the review of tax relief on green technology equipment, as well as the expansion of tax relief for sports activities, health and elderly care. Over to you.
Thank you, SYAFIQAH. Continuing with Budget 2025, these segments highlight household individual income tax relief. First off, we focus on sports activities, health and elderly care. This measure reflects Malaysia's transitions towards an aging nation and the growing importance of family-based support. Under the revised rules, tax relief up to RM1,000 for sports equipment and activities is now expanded to include parents. Previously, it was limited to self, spouse, and children only. As for full medical checkup, expenses for parents, which are limited to RM1,000, have now expanded to include vaccinations. As for medical treatment, special needs and parental care expenses up to RM8,000 have now expanded to grandparents as well. In addition, the exemption of up to RM3,000 per year given on childcare allowance has now expanded to include elderly care for parents and grandparents received by the employees or paid directly by the employers. Moving on to individual income tax relief on education and medical insurance, tax relief of up to RM3,000 given on the premium paid for education and medical insurance for self, spouse and children has increased to RM4,000. This measure aims to promote early financial planning for children's education and enhance access to medical services. Lastly, a new tax relief was introduced in Budget 2025, which emphasized environmental sustainability. In prior year assessments, individuals were only given tax relief on expenses for electric vehicle charging equipment up to RM2,500. Starting with the year assessment 2025, the government has expanded to include the purchase of food waste composting machines for household use. This relief can be only claimed once within 3 years period until the year assessment 2027.
Moving on to retirement planning, Budget 2025 introduced an important extension to individual income tax relief on the contribution to the private retirement scheme or PRS and deferred annuities. Under the current position, individuals are allowed to claim tax relief of up to RM3,000 per year, and this relief was only available until the year of assessment 2025. In Budget 2025, the government proposed to extend this RM3,000 tax relief for another 5 years, from year assessment 2026 until year assessment 2030. This means taxpayers can continue enjoying the same relief amount but for a longer period, encouraging long-term retirement savings. It is important to note that the 8% withholding tax on early withdrawals remain unchanged, except for permitted purposes such as healthcare, disability, or housing. This matters to me as an individual taxpayer because the extended relief gives more time to plan my retirement early, reduce my annual tax burden, and build long-term financial security without losing the existing tax benefits.
We now shift our focus to other key measures announced in Budget 2025. Over to you, SYAZWANI. Can you update us on the impact of the housing loan interest relief for first-time homebuyers and the new tax on dividends?
In Budget 2025, the government has granted a tax relief on loan interest payment for the first residential home. This relief has not been given in Budget 2024. The sales and agreement must be done between 1st January 2025 until 31st December 2027. The term and condition for the taxpayer to get this tax relief is the purpose of the house must be for residential and not to generate rental income. The value of the house of RM 500,000 and below, the taxpayer will get a tax relief of RM 7,000. Meanwhile, for the house value of RM 500,000 and above, the tax relief will be given is RM 5,000. It applies for 3 consecutive years starting from the beginning year of the payment. For imposition of tax dividend receivable of an individual shareholder, there is changes between Budget 2024 and Budget 2025. In Budget 2024, the dividend receivable will be not taxable. Meanwhile, in Budget 2025, a dividend receivable at CRM 100,000 will be taxable. It applies for the shareholder that is resident, non-resident, and individual shareholder through nominee. It applies also if the dividend distributed by a resident company. A flat rate of 2% will be imposed to the shareholder. It will be tax exempt if the dividend is not exceed RM 100,000 per year, or the dividend is from foreign company, or the dividend is from reinvestment allowance or pioneer status company, or the dividend is from cooperative and closed-end fund, or the dividend is from EPF or ASMB and unit trust.
In the budget for the year of 2025, the government has announced an extension of tax relief for childcare centre registered under the Social Welfare Department TASCA and Kindergarten Tadika, highlighting its continued support for working parents and early childhood education across Malaysia. Under this measure, eligible taxpayer can claim tax relief of up to RM3,000 per child for fees paid to this registered centre for children aged 6 years and below. Importantly, this relief has now been extended to cover 3 consecutive years, offering family more consistent financial support. Compared to the year of 2024, this extension ensures uninterrupted assistance for households facing rising childcare and living costs, particularly among dual-income families. The move reflects the government's ongoing commitment to family welfare and accessible early childhood education, reinforcing the role of tax policy in supporting Malaysian households.
Thank you for that update. For matters related to healthcare expenses and income received from abroad, we now turn to our reporter AISHAH, who will be explaining the review of tax relief for medical treatment expenses for self, spouse, and child, as well as the extension of tax-exempt income from sources outside Malaysia. Over to you.
Thank you, Ms. SYAFIQAH. I will continue on review for medical treatment expenses for self, spouse, and child. Starting year assessment of 2025, comparing to year assessment of 2023, there will be an increase of RM2,000 for medical treatment expenses limit for individual income tax relief, from RM8,000 to RM10,000 starting 2025. To elaborate more, there are categories for this limitation, which are limit up to RM1,000 for full medical checkup, mental health checkup, COVID-19 detection test, any purchase of self-testing kit like influenza test or COVID-19 test, any purchase of self-testing devices, blood pressure monitor or thermometer, also disease detection examination like blood test or pap smear test. Next, there is an increase of RM2,000 in tax relief limit from RM4,000 to RM6,000 regarding assessment and diagnosis, early intervention program, and continuous rehabilitation treatment for children below 18 years old with learning disabilities such as autism and ADHD. Last but not least, there is an extension on tax-exempt income from sources outside Malaysia which received in Malaysia. As we all already informed that the exemption is currently valid up until 2026. However, this exemption is proposed to be extended for another 10 years, which valid until 31st December 2036.
Next, let's look at education savings under the Scheme Simpanan Pendidikan Nasional or SSPN. Previously, parents were eligible for income tax relief of up to RM8,000 on net annual saving in SSPN, but this relief was scheduled to end soon. Under Budget 2025, the government proposed to extend this RM8,000 tax relief for another 3 years, covering year of assessment 2025 until 2027. However, there are new conditions introduced. Firstly, the tax relief can now only be claimed by either one parent, not both, with a maximum claim of RM8,000. Secondly, withdrawals used specifically for education purposes will not reduce the net saving calculation, meaning parents will not lose their tax relief eligibility when using the fund for study. This is important to me because it encourages disciplined education, savings while still providing tax relief, helping families like mine plan ahead for future education costs without being penalized for using the funds when they are most needed.
As we conclude our review of the tax relief measure in Budget 2025, it's clear that these initiatives are designed to encourage better financial planning and awareness among taxpayers.
Indeed, staying informed and making thoughtful financial decisions remain key. Understanding the available relief can help taxpayers manage their finances more responsibly.
We come to the end of our segment on tax relief. Stay tuned for more update and insight on how the latest budget affects Malaysians.
In this segment, we take a reflective look at how personal and business finance decisions can support sustainable practice. Through both personal and professional perspective, we focus on the importance of self-improvement and the lessons that can be drawn.
Joining us now is Cik QAISARA. Cik QAISARA, why do you think the tax relief of the food waste composting machine is useful and important for individuals, and how challenging do you find this new tax relief?
I believe the tax relief is really useful and important because it encourages us to recycle food waste at home and reduce reliance on landfills. I also believe that it supports the circular economy by converting waste into organic fertilizer. However, it was challenging for me to understand the tax relief as it was never practiced before. Besides, there was no specific information on this tax relief, and this tax relief can be only claimed only once within 3-year period, which require careful planning. Therefore, I think it is important for me to stay updated with new tax measures and read policy details carefully.
Thank you, Cik QAISARA. Now, Cik SYAZWANI, reflecting on your research into the tax relief on housing loan interest for a first residential home, what was something you did not know before? What challenged you the most with studying this relief? And what did you learn about yourself in the process? Finally, how will this experience help you improve yourself in understanding tax matters in the future?
Thank you, Cik Fika, for the question. Previously, I never knew that this tax relief had been given in 2009 by the government, but somehow they stopped grant the tax relief until 2025. The challenge that I have been going through while studying this topic is I need to be more analysed on the information in budget 2025 and the budget before the year of 2025. I learned to be more analytic and I learned to break down the information and do more research in order for me to more understand of the information. To improve myself by learning and reading more about the current issue and also be more up to date on the budget that will be presented by the government. For future prospect, this topic is very important for my future career because I learn to make a better decision making. For example, in the context of tax relief on the interest payment for first residential home of an individual, I will encourage an individual to buy a house value of RM 500,000 or below because they will get more tax relief rather than the house value of RM 500,000 and above.
Thank you, Cik SYAZWANI. Turning now to Cik AISHAH, can you share with us what is the underlying goal of the Malaysian government in expanding the scope and limit of the specific medical tax relief for its citizens?
In my opinion, the government initiates in encouraging the public to engage in improving health screening and treatment, promote self-care health practices, and ease the burden of the taxpayers. In line with the government values for care and compassion, expanding the tax reliefs is like spreading the coverage of the safety net. So I believe that this will ensure more family members are protected for early warning signs of illness before they lead to a serious falls.
In summary, the second segment highlights the challenges in understanding newly introduced and expanded tax relief under Budget 2025, particularly when information limited and policy changes must be compared across different years.
The discussion emphasized the importance of continuous learning, careful analysis, and staying updated with budget developments to improve understanding of tax policy and support better financial decision making in the future.
That concludes our coverage of Budget 2025 on Tax Insight. Thank you for watching Tax Insight and stay tuned for more updates and insight on taxation matters that impact Malaysians.